Greetings, everyone. How are you feeling today? Well, it's a very good afternoon from Jakarta, although it's a bit raining here, but it surely is a good day. I really hope you're all feeling great and having a great day so far. My name is Selvin Janita, and it is my honor to be your moderator today. And also, before I go any further, it surely is an honor for me here to be here and also to share with you how excited I am to be sharing the screen with His Excellency Sujiro Sim, the Ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN. Hello, Mr. Ambassador, how are you?
Hello, Selfie. I'm very well, thank you. Enjoying rainy Jakarta with you and everyone else who joined us on screen for this webinar in celebration of World Transport Day 2023.
Yes, and it is such a great day, Mr. Ambassador. I can see from the chat box, everyone joining us from all over ASEAN. I can see some friends from Laos, from Vietnam, Myanmar, Indonesia, Malaysia. Hello, everyone. We're expecting more friends to join us. And also, since you have mentioned, Mr. Ambassador, about the World Sustainable Transport Day, which on November 26th, which will also be the center of our conversation today. So, Mr. Ambassador, would you please share with us what is sustainable transport and why is it important?
Well, you've seen in this video that there is a commitment from the European Union to sustainable transport as our commitment to climate change. As we speak, we still have the Conference of the Parties on Climate Change going on, so you all understand, of course, the importance of sticking to the objectives of the Paris Agreement on climate, and of course, transport plays a very significant role in carbon emissions, so that's the reason why in this little video you saw the effort of the European Union and our commitment to reduce carbon emission at least by 55% before 2030, so that we could reach carbon neutrality by 2050. You asked me about sustainable transport, and there is an agreed United Nations definition on sustainable transport, and I quote, "It is a cross-cutting accelerator that can fast-track progress towards other crucial goals, such as eradicating poverty in all its dimensions, reducing inequality, empowering women, and combating climate change." Over back to you.
Yes, well, I'm very sure maybe we can also share a video to also explain more about sustainable transport. So, friends, let's take a good look at this video we're going to show you on the screen.
Transport is one of the pillars of the modern society. It connects people, cultures, cities, countries, and continents. Transport networks ensure access to key public services, such as education and health, allows products to be sold across the world, creates jobs, and greatly improves our quality of life. But transport also has substantial negative impacts on the environment and human health, producing a quarter of the EU's greenhouse gas emissions, as well as air pollution, noise pollution, and habitat fragmentation. Transport is the only major economic sector in Europe that has increased its greenhouse gas emissions since 1990. And demand for transport is set to rise significantly. Passenger and freight transport are projected to grow further by 2050. Given its high dependency on oil and impacts on human health, climate change and the environment, the current transport system is not sustainable. In recent years, the efficiency of many types of vehicles has improved. But with more and more freight and traveller miles, small efficiency gains will fall far short of decarbonising the transport sector. We need to build a clean and climate-resilient transport system. Implementing fundamental changes will take time and will require involvement of all stakeholders and a combination of measures, including better urban planning, technological improvements, a wider use of alternative fuels, innovative research, and changes in consumer habits. And also investments in infrastructure and policy measures designed to shape this future. A sustainable future for transport is both possible and essential.
Wow, by referring to your explanation just now, Mr. Ambassador, and also after seeing the video, now it makes so much more sense. And also, seeing our speakers lineup today for the 9th EU-ASEAN Youth Talk Show, I'm very sure we're going to have a very rich discussion. So, Mr. Ambassador, would you love to introduce some of our speakers today?
Thank you very much. Well, I like very much the flow of this webinar. We have videos, and I hope everyone enjoys the videos, which offers you a few angles on the topic we discussed today, but we also have a panelist who will be with us on screen. And from the EU team, we have Fakri Karim, who is the representative of our Smart Green ASEAN cities. Hello.
Hello.
We also
hello.
have Ralph.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. We have Ralph Kosman, who's been working on making our air transports more sustainable.
Good morning. Good
Welcome.
afternoon.
Hi, Ralph.
Okay, we see you now. And we have Mina Saneri, who has been working on our road safety initiative. Mina?
Hello, good afternoon.
Wow, hello everyone. So good to have you all here, and I'm very sure we can all learn so much from you. And to all of our participants here, you're all welcome to drop your questions and also comments to any of our speakers here, including to Mr. Ambassador himself. So please submit your questions or comments at the chat box at any time during this talk show. And also, Mr. Ambassador, everyone, we also have youth representatives here with us. We have Hans Ryan, awardee of Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree in Sustainable Transportation and Electrical Power System. Hi, Hans.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
And also, we have a member of the EU INPA Youth Sounding Board, Lok Pakian from Malaysia. Hi, Yan.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Well, now, so I think now we can check on the chat box, Mr. Ambassador. They're all more and more people joining us, and probably, friends, do you want to share what you think of sustainable transport? Because we would love to hear from you. We would love to know what you think of sustainable transport, and maybe later during the discussion, we can read some very interesting answers. So, Mr. Ambassador, do you have probably any first questions for our speakers?
Well, I'm going through the chat, but right now we mainly have people joining us and introducing themselves, which is very nice. But hopefully at some point in time, they will start using the chat not only for introductions, but also for questions. I think in the meantime, until we have the first question in the chat, it would be better to ask Hans what his take is on sustainable transport.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for the question. So, from my side, I think to define sustainable transportation, we need to define what is sustainable first. We must not confuse between sustainable, green, renewable. So, from my side, I think sustainable is something that can last to a certain period of time. So, defining this sustainable transportation, there's a big constraint in environmental issues. So, if we want to achieve sustainable transportation, we need to tackle this environmental issue.
Well, thank you so much, Hans, for your answer. That's very interesting. And also, you have actually studied sustainable transportation for your master's degree, right?
Yes, I'm currently doing my master here.
So is there any particular reason why you decided to focus on this subject?
Yeah, so apart from it is aligned with my background as an electrical engineer, this issue is a very big issue, as we saw on the video before, that transportation contributes to a big chunk of carbon emission in the world. So I think this issue is going to be very crucial in the future, and it needs a lot of participation from youth, from people in this expertise. So it's going to open many job opportunities as well.
Yes, I completely agree with you, Hans. It needs to involve more and lots of people. And also, I think sustainable transport is one of the key elements of a smart green ASEAN city, right? So, Mr. Karim, do you mind sharing how we can define a smart green ASEAN city and where sustainable transport fit into the scenario? What is the ideal scenario for ASEAN?
Thank you very much, Alvin. Yes, that is a very interesting question. Smart green cities you can define in many different ways, but I think among others, when you look at the definition, is about how the city will deploy a creative technology digital system to inform the city in find the right solution to deal with the urban pressure, the environment pressure, and the economic social pressure in cities where is in continue urbanizing. Cities like Jakarta, Manila, all those kind of things, we see all of that pressure. And then, of course, one of the big pressures that environment, social, all this kind of thing is transportation. Transportation, as Mr. Ambassador mentioned in the beginning, we also see in the video, transportation play important role in the urban area, in the new urban area, in improving mobility and connectivity within the city or outside of the city. So to support that, thanks to EU and ASEAN to agree and support one program called Smart Green ASEAN Cities. So the program is about to improve cities' capacity to finance their smart solutions in urban. One of it is transportation. So as a part of the program, currently under the program, we do have 3 pilot programs identified to improve the transportation. One is in Malaysia, in Ipoh, where they use the AI system or an IT system to improve the traffic lights mechanism. We call smart traffic system. So with that, the result will be we reduce the congestion, we improve the safety, and somehow it will also reduce the carbon because of less traffic. And the other one is still in Malaysia, in Kuantan, is to support the city to be able to improve the EV, electronic vehicle infrastructure, by providing more charger station or this kind of thing. So how city can finance that? So this program is not about a building infrastructure, but building cities' capacity to finance that. The other one in Cambodia, how to improve the parking. Because when we talk about transportation, not only about vehicle moving, but also where to park. So how to develop a smart parking in the area, so then it will avoid vehicle parking alongside the street. We see this everywhere. That will somehow will affect transportation. So those kind of work through smart green ASEAN cities. But again, something confirmed that is transportation fit really well into the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fakri. Thanks so much for providing such interesting insights. And it's I can highlight one main message that you are sharing with us just now. It's about improving connectivity. Well, Mr. Ambassador, we also need to highlight the importance of connectivity, right? Including connecting ASEAN cities with each other, probably, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, thank you very much. At the same time as I'm listening to our panelists, I'm reading the contributions in the chat, and I think we have quite a few very good contributions on what sustainable transport means. So let me just read and quote a few of them. Sustainable transport refers to ways of transportation that are sustainable in terms of their social and environmental impact, from Faki. From Sandy, we have sustainable transport is a form of transportation that is beneficial for the environment and people for a long period of time without having a detrimental effect upon the planet, people, and the economy. And then from Patricia, we have sustainable transport is a form of agenda wherein the field of transportation is being converted into something that is not harmful to the environment, yet stable and useful in the long run. But you asked me about connectivity, and of course, we mainly use transport to connect. So we heard about cities, but ASEAN is a region and we have to connect between the different countries. I myself do not set a very good example because I've been in my current position only from the 1st of September, so it has been 3 months, but I've been traveling already 22 days. So my footprint is not necessarily great. What about you, Selfine? Have you traveled a lot these past few months?
These past few months, I don't think so. Well, I do love traveling, but at least I travel like 2 times to 3 times a year from Jakarta or Java Island. I usually travel from one city to another within Java Island by car or probably by train.
Well, you're doing much better than I do, but I'm already doing better now than in my previous position when I was the ambassador of the European Union for the Pacific. So from January to August, that's only 8 months. 8 months, it's like 240 days. I was traveling 92 days. So, and of course, traveling in the Pacific or traveling through the countries in ASEAN involves taking a plane. So I think we can agree that to travel on these long distances, the plane is the best solution. I would invite all the participants to let us know what is their favorite airport to travel to. So don't hesitate to share with us your own experience of air travel. But then I think we should ask Ralph about ways and means for us to minimize our carbon footprint and our impact on the environment when we jump on a plane. Ralph?
Thank you. Thanks for having me and for giving me the opportunity. In short, I don't think that anyone has to have bad feelings when he or she jumps on the plane in the first place. However, we are all responsible, and it's very much about establishing co-responsibilities when it comes to reducing the CO2 footprints overall. So it is obviously needed to continue and to enhance and to motivate the governments to take more actions, but actions are also on us to consider, on each of us individually, such as the use in the short term to use and look into CO2 offsetting that is already offered from many airlines. I mean, aviation is very much in the focus, and there are many co-benefits, as you just mentioned, Mr. Ambassador. I mean, it is really convenient to use an aircraft to really connect with other regions in the world, and it's pretty much the only available means of transport to make that happen. Aviation counts for a relatively small amount when it comes to the overall emissions that produce global warming. It is about 3%, of which approximately 50% is actually the CO2. However, many initiatives started in the aviation sector to reduce CO2 emissions. There's a certain, I call it, development inertia in aviation, because whatever you implement in aviation should not scrutinize security and safety. So there's always a certain time once a new technology comes in place. But I see over the last years a breathtaking amount of initiatives in the pipeline in the aviation sector to make flying more environmental friendly. So it will become more and more visible over time, such as new technologies in the aircraft. We will experience smarter and faster flight routes as well, because they are very inefficient. And the two main pillars will be carbon offsetting, I mentioned before, and the use of sustainable aviation fuels. It was called in the video alternative fuels, but we call it sustainable aviation fuels, which are fuels made of regrowing sources. And there's also a lot in the pipeline. There are approximately 2-3 production chains already in place, and there are 10 to 11 under development at the moment. So there's a lot to come. So back to the question, I think you don't have to feel bad to jump on an airplane, but be mindful, of course. I hope that was not a too long answer. Sorry for that.
Totally fine,
It was
Ralph.
a great answer. Selfine, I noted two contributions in the chat from our friend Yen from Vietnam. One of them is sustainable transportation does not rely on fossil fuel. Instead, green energy such as electricity is the only source to be used. So there is still some way to go for electricity and air transport. The 100% electrical plane on commercial airlines is still quite far away from us. But I think in as much as we have an addiction to land transportation and car transportation in particular, there we have the opportunity to make the right choices. So maybe we have this little video on how we can address this addiction we have to car and driving car or riding cars, both in Europe and in ASEAN.
Thousands of people in Europe suffer from an addiction that has repercussions not only on their health but also on their wallets. An addiction that defies reason and seems to be difficult to beat. They cannot do without their cars, even for extremely short journeys. And yet, we do not have to give up our cars completely. We just need to get out of the habit of using them automatically. The idea is that by getting the right mix between driving, public transport, cycling and walking, we will notice the benefits very quickly. For example, by walking an average of half an hour per day, we prolong our life expectancy by between 2 and 9 years, strengthen 200 muscles, and burn 3 kilograms of fat per year. It's therefore good for the heart and lungs, as well as being good for our physical appearance. By getting the right mix, you can easily save 1 full tank of fuel every month, which is not peanuts. You could spend the money you save on something more enjoyable. By doing the right mix, we also make savings for our cities. It has been calculated that each kilometre we travel by car costs our city nearly €1 in various costs. That is money that the city could spend on projects to benefit the community. By doing the right mix, we make our cities more enjoyable places to live. Fewer traffic jams, less pollution, less greenhouse gas emissions. For example, a bus journey uses 20 times less urban space than the same journey by car. And if we make a 3-kilometre journey on foot or by bicycle instead of by car, each of us reduces his CO2 output by 1 kilogram. So, do you need any more reasons to kick the addiction? You'll feel better, and the planet will too. Let's do the right mix.
Well, we need to do the right mix. And unfortunately, Mr. Ambassador and everyone, I have to admit that I think I suffer from the addiction. Well, we have the same problem here too. And after seeing the video, by doing the right mix and also by reducing the use of car to travel anywhere, the good impacts not only to the environment, but also to our health and our body. And what about you guys? What about you, friends? Do you think you have the same addiction? Well, here in Jakarta, because so many of us are on the road all the time, well, I can see that we also have quite a lot of accidents. What do you think, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, thank you, Selfine. I'm reading the chat at the same time, and I think this is something our friends in the chat also identify. So we have Penny, for example. I don't really know where Penny is from, but she says we should reduce emission and prioritize public transport, cycling, walking over traditional resource-intensive methods. Then I also read, and here it's easier to identify the location of our friend not only because that's Aisha Castro who says, I'm from the Philippines, but also it is mentioned in the message that they use public transportation such as the jeepney, the bus, the LRT, and the tricycle, which is a very interesting type of transportation in the Philippines. So I think all this, these two participants highlighted that the road must be shared between different ways of moving around. And this is also about road safety. So we have an expert here on the ASEAN roads. Mina, maybe you can share with us your experience.
Thank you for asking, Mr. Ambassador. Well, the ASEAN roads are unfortunately not very safe. And as you all know, the motorcycles dominate the roads in ASEAN, as in many low and middle income countries, where 9 in 10 road traffic deaths happen. And Southeast Asia has the highest proportion globally, which is over 55%, of fatalities of vulnerable road users. That means pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. And of these, 60% are 2-, 3-wheelers. So let me give you some more concerning figures. According to the WHO Southeast Asia region, in Thailand and Cambodia, the motorcycle deaths accounted for 73% and 74% of deaths in 2016. And sadly, it's the young adults aged 15 to 34 years, which account for over 60% of all powered 2 to 3-wheelers related deaths in low and middle income countries. And in Indonesia, road traffic fatalities are dominated by 73% of motorcycles of youth of the age of 15 and 24 years. Now, there are some key risk factors for motorcycle traffic injuries. And during the study that we conducted at ReReady on road safety in ASEAN, we identified a few. So these include drivers not wearing helmets, and especially speeding, alcohol impairment, mixed traffic conditions, lack of protection from the vehicle in a crash, and a lack of safe infrastructure such as poor and poor road surfaces and road hazards. But especially we need behavior change. So all in all, we need safe vehicles, we need safe road infrastructure, safe road use, good laws and regulations, and especially enforcement. And that is linked to appropriate awareness raising, using especially social media as a channel, which is deemed to be the most successful combination.
Thanks so much, Mina, for the amazing insights as well. And Mr. Ambassador, if you don't mind, I want to ask Yen now, who just came back from Brussels. So Yen, do you want to share what do you notice the most in Brussels transportation? Anyone? You probably Yen, you want to start first, and then later I can ask Hans as well.
Well, I've only been in Brussels for a week, but I was able to explore the Belgium's public transport system. I'd say the timing and frequency was very efficient. I guess it was around 1 in every 4 minutes. So that really facilitated getting 25 people from different countries to different spots with a tight schedule in a timely manner. I'd say also the payment design was very inclusive, having different options. So it was really easy to get by, especially as a visitor coming from a different country.
So Hans, what about you? What do you notice the most in the city that you currently live in?
So currently I'm living in Spain, north of Spain, in Gijón. Here, this transportation sector is pretty good in terms of sustainable transportation, since we here like to share with others. So like carpooling and other form of transportation. So I think that's the basic of sustainable transportation. It's not just talking about electrical vehicle or advanced technology, but it's more like how we can utilize the resources that we have in order to minimize the carbon emission.
Thanks, Hans and Yen, for sharing your point of view. What about you, Mr. Ambassador? How do you find Jakarta and Jakarta?
Thank you, Selfie. I'm just going through the chat again, and I think we have a very good question that I would like to ask our panelists from Dian Saputra, who asked if there is any form of transport which are more sustainable than others, and also if pedestrianization, which is walking, is considered when tackling sustainable transport in urban cities. So maybe we can ask our panelists their opinion on maybe the most sustainable form of transport, if any, and what about no transport, which is you have to rely on your feet. Maybe Mina or Fakri?
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Yeah, I think this is a very interesting question. Of course, the more sustainable is to just use your feet, as you mentioned, to walk and also cycle, all those kind of things. But mass transportation will also help in terms of moving the people in the big numbers. But when I will look this way, Mr. Ambassador, when we look at the urban, especially cities in Asia, city was built with the very, like in Jakarta, for example, probably city was built for 7-8 million people, and now suddenly about 15. So then that is, I think, very common in cities in Asia. So the best way to find the most sustainable transportation is by improving the connectivity in the city. So if the people in the city have to take the bus, go around, all those kind of things, then it's heavy transportation. If city can plan a nice shortcut where people can walk or people can go by bike, that is the most sustainable. But of course, the challenge for the city, who already full with the population, to find the way and replan what they have. But I think the most sustainable is by having the easiest access, allow people to walk, walking cities or biking, and also mass transportation. Ambassador, thank you.
Thank you very much. And before I turn to Mina with the same question, let me just add the contributions of Vincentia and from Bogor. So it says, commuting by train and city bus, but I just need to ride my motorbike from home to the train station. And that's because there's a little bit difficult for use of the public transportation because it's not convenient. And I think we have the same kind of line from Leo from Cambodia, who says it's kind of hard to adapt the use of public transportation, heavy traffic, not enough walkable way, and lack of traffic education. So it's not only about selecting the most sustainable mode of transportation, it's also about combining them in a whole journey. So what's your view on that, Mina?
Thanks, Ambassador. Yes, I would go back to what I mentioned before, behavior change. Now, of course, there's nothing we can do on lack of interconnectivity if it's not possible to have, for example, in a city like Jakarta, which is huge. Which has a great amount of people moving all the time with different kinds of vehicles. But when we can, well, let's try to use public transportation. There's a great MRT network being built now in Jakarta. There are maybe some cycling options, not very much in the city, but those that have, why not use cycling option, and why not try to walk when that's possible? That's my take.
Thank you, Mina. Selfine, since I arrived, of course, now I experience Jakarta, and I don't need to belabor the issue of the heavy traffic we have here in Jakarta, but I was also in Singapore, in Manila, in Kuala Lumpur, and Just last week, I was in Vientiane in Laos, and of course, all these cities, they're all in ASEAN, but they are very different transport-wise. Here in Jakarta, at the same time, we have a very high level of traffic and pollution. Walking is not so easy, also because of the lack of any way for pedestrians. But at least we have the option of the MRT. And once a week on Sunday, we can actually enjoy the road without cars. So this initiative of a carless or car-free day on Sunday is a great initiative. But I'd like to hear the others and their experience about Jakarta, because I'm a newcomer. Are you satisfied with the combination of transport modes we have in Jakarta? Is this adapted for everyone?
Yes. And also, while waiting for everyone to answer the question, Mr. Ambassador, recently the government of Indonesia also launched the speed train from Jakarta to Bandung, which I think could also be used as an efficient way to transport from Jakarta to Bandung. Have you tried the speed train, Mr. Ambassador?
I did. It was very fast, 350 kilometers an hour. It's actually too fast because the trip is too short. Then it's only a half hour. But again, it's about combining transportation, because if I had to drive to Bandung, that's going to take maybe over 3 hours. But if I want to catch the Whoosh Whoosh Yes train, which is the name of the train, it means that I have to drive 45 minutes to the railway station, then catch the high-speed train for half hour, and then connect again to what they call the feeder train, because the high-speed train doesn't reach Bandung. It stops in the suburbs, and then there is still 20 minutes of travel to go to Bandung. But well, this is my personal experience, which is quite different, because I was in Paris and I had to travel from Paris to Brussels, and there, of course, the railway station is in the middle of the city, so it's quite efficient. And to reach the railway station, it was also very, very practical to catch the metro. But I don't know about the others' experience. Maybe they can share with us as well their experience of transportation, either in ASEAN or back in Europe.
Yes, we have no. Sorry?
Yeah, no, maybe I can share very quick. I live in Jakarta before I moved to Bali. Bali, even you don't want to hear the story, what happened there now in terms of transportation. But this connectivity it's very good. Introduced in Jakarta right now. I think if not perfect yet in terms of how to connect. For example, there's a train from Jakarta to airport. It's very efficient, but to reach the station in Jakarta, then you need to go by taxi and have to all those kind of things. So, but I think Ambassador, the puzzle is there already. Just to improve the dot where it needs to be connected, make it more efficient. I myself, as who live in Jakarta, I think it's way improved right now. There's still a way to go. Sorry, Sabit. Thanks.
It's totally fine, Mr. Fakri, and I completely agree with you. And also, I can see some of our friends here also saying that they agree with what our speakers have shared. And also, I have one question here from Tun Kiao. Good afternoon. It is good for green transportation. We give knowledge to our environment about green transportation instead of emitting CO2. But they said it is more expensive by using electrical vehicle or motorbike. How to make low cost by using green transportation? Well, probably, Mr. Fakri.
Well, thank you very much. That also a very good question. I think it's really real. Yes, ideally we go more green, but costly. When you go look at the cost, it's highest. I think in the process, when we look at the solar panel, like 10 years ago, the price is crazy. But when the technology improves, that is going down. So I believe the EV soon will reach that point too. And also, the more infrastructures develop and prepare to support those kind of initiatives, then the cost will be going down. Right now, if you buy the EV, and then it costs you a lot on the charging equipment. But in the future, when we have that available everywhere, will cost less. So I think the most important, we aim to go there, and then I believe it will be way cheaper in the future. But for now, I agree with the question. It might give you high cost compared to what you have. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fakri. Well, amazing questions, Mr. Ambassador. To be honest with you, lots of questions are coming in. And also talking about committing CO2, well, I also need to hear Rolf's point of view on this, since you're also have been working on making air transports more sustainable. So what's your take, Rolf?
Yeah, thanks. So individually and for the moment, and I mentioned this development inertia that is inevitable in aviation, not to scrutinize safety and security. It is for the moment very much about trying to travel smarter. Now, for example, you can compensate, and I also mentioned it before, the CO2 emissions already on specific routes and airlines. You can try to compare the emissions online on various tools. In Europe, we are actually at the moment working on something we call an eco-label. You might be familiar with it when you buy a new refrigerator or something like this. Is this color code where you see from red to green what is more environmental friendly? It's a complex task, but we are quite optimistic that we can launch this for the customers in Europe at least over the next couple of years. So as said, it is at the moment a lot about trying to travel smarter, and offsetting is already offered from many airlines nowadays.
Yeah, and also from my experience, when I need to book a ticket, especially international routes, some of their ticketing platform also provides how much carbon footprints that we are contributing to the environment. So probably
Yes.
that information could also help. Thank you so much, Ralph. And I also have one more question for Mina. Would that be okay, Mr. Ambassador?
Yes, of course.
Yes, so this one question from Paul Mo. Hi, I'm Mo, and I'd like to ask a question. BBC News has confirmed that 2023 has been the hottest year so far, and it is quite an alarming issue. As simple as it may be, it is often difficult to persuade a large crowd to be more sustainable. The mindsets of some people cannot be altered. In cases such as this, what do you think I should do as a member of the next generation in order to persuade the people around me that every small step counts? Mina, what a question.
What a question. Well, we all need to take that small little step and change our behavior. And especially if we talk about youth, the youth is connected with different social media channels, and that's why that is considered to be a very, very efficient channel to reach the youth. So if we talk about road safety, it's not the responsibility is not only on the government or policymakers to make good laws, or for the police to conduct enforcement, or the research institute to do research. It's on each of us. So each of us, we can change our behavior, and be more considerate in the when we are in the traffic, whether we are pedestrians or whether we are driving or cycling. So I would say how to change is, at the end of the day, it's everybody's own responsibility. But it's important that the message is reached.
Yeah, so you also would love to share again your findings on the effectiveness of social media. I think we can also share the knowledge, and also that we can ask as many people as possible using our own platform, our social media. What do you think about that, Mina?
Yes, of course. I mean, we discussed this issue in the workshop we had with the officials of road safety from the ASEAN countries, and they belief is that to conduct efficient awareness raising campaigns, it needs to be utilizing also the social media. So with the combining different channels and try to reach different kinds of people.
Thank you so much, Mina. So now back to Mr. Ambassador. You may want to add something, and also as an addition, I take one question from Alde Rodriguez. Mr. Ambassador, do you think are we still on track to meet sustainability for transportation system as we integrate it for our present and future?
I think we can ask our panelists as well, no? Because it speaks to a question I spotted as well from Hien, which is about the impact of sustainable transport and the choices for sustainable transport on growth. Is this more expensive? Does it mean that developing countries cannot afford it? What kind of assistance can other countries provide? So it's about not only the individual benefit of sustainable transport, but the collective benefit of sustainable transport. And I think there we have to go back to the very definition of sustainable transport by the United Nations, which makes it very clear that it's not only a matter of individual choice or practicality or affordability or convenience, but it is also a collective choice to make sure that we do the right thing at the same time for the planet, but also for the economy. So I think this is a very interesting question. How do we balance individual and collective choices, and how do we balance economic growth and the fact that we need to minimize the impact on the environment? So I don't know who wants to take that one, but I think it's those are two very interesting questions I spotted in the chat.
You're muted, Sophie.
I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Now I'm asking Ralph, Mina, Fakri, Hans, or Yen. You probably want to add some more points.
I can start.
Yes, of course, Mr. Fakri.
Thank you very much. Oh, what Mr. Ambassador is just putting there is very good. First, a balance, and then a commitment of everyone and a work of everyone. In this case, the role of the government is key. It's very important. The role of private sectors is very important, and the role of the community is very important. The role of everyone. So everyone should start look at, for me, three main indicators when we talk about sustainability: the economic resilient, the social resilient, and environment resilient. All three needs to be there. This transportation will not improve if the economic is not resilient or not contribute to the economy. And then we don't improve anything. We might improve the high-speed train, whatever. If doesn't really increase environment resilient, it's not sustainability. We can put this high train in the wrong place, for example, still go fast, but is step back in terms of environment. And then the last one is social. So social need to feel by having that is improve my resilience. The point that Mina mentioned, by reducing the mortalities, reducing the case, the death numbers, that is improved resilience. Mina, I remember when I moved to UN in Bangkok from Pacifics. In Pacific, the UNDSS briefing is about typhoon and everything. When I moved to Bangkok, the most part of the NDS is about traffic accident. So that three level have to work. So that three level have to work and implement by three levels. So government have to improve the infrastructures. The privates need to see that as a tool to improve the economy, and social have to play the role to do that. Those kind of balance, Ambassador. Thank you.
If I may add, Mr. Fakri brought up the economic aspect. If we think it from the road safety perspective, road safety also has an economic impact. So in addition to the high number of human lives lost, for example, in Asia Pacific, the average impact on GDP of the road accidents is 6%, and it's a considerable number. And then in countries like Thailand, according to the Asia Pacific Road Safety Observatory, the economic impact of road fatalities can be up to 11% on GDP. So it's a very important factor.
Yes, so Yen, you probably want to add your point of view, what youth can do.
In terms of sustainable transport, I would say what youth can do is to be involved in the policy making process, as well as the any engagement between government as well as local governments, as well as the EU delegations, to be able to quite push for the change we want to, especially a lot of what we discussed today is about within ASEAN is the last mile problem, right? How can we connect the dots at the end? So youth involvement is essential within the policy making process. By engaging with youth, we can essentially create more inclusive policies, as well as more inclusive and sustainable transport systems that involves the youth, the marginalized communities, and every part of the society.
Thank you, Yen. So back to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Well, thank you very much. So I think we have a very successful webinar. I keep an eye on the number of participants, and it keeps growing, actually. It's quite impressive. Huh? So we're now 180 of us connected here. And there are two angles that I would like to pursue, and maybe we can get more interaction with our participants on that. My take on the respective responsibilities of individuals and government is for government to offer a choice of a combination of different modes of transportations for citizens to use. But the choice of citizens is to make the right choice when it comes to a sustainable transportation. So, of course, we want to reach our destination in a fast way, in an efficient way, in a safe way, in a cheap way, but also in a clean way. So I think it's not only about having the option, and that's true that in the European Union, we're very much privileged with all the sustainable transportation options which are available to us. I mean, I was in Paris last month, and you can choose to ride a boat on the River Seine, for example, to go to one point to the other. And it's very sustainable, but it's also very convenient and very beautiful. So it's a no-brainer, it's an easy choice. But yes, how can government make sure that they offer the right choice for their citizens, and how can citizens themselves make the right choices? And there, I think this is also a webinar where we have plenty of young Asians, Southeast Asians. So I think this leads me to another question, which is about changing behaviors and the role of the youth in changing behavior, because I can read a lot of these chat contributions. It's not only a matter of choice, it's a matter of behavior. And to me, but that's probably because I'm quite old already, I think it's easier to change, or it's easier to make the right change, or it's easier to adjust your behavior when you're young, because this is also a generational issue where it's more difficult for older people to change their habits. Huh? So I don't know, maybe some of our panelists can delve into these questions. Maybe we'll have some more contributions from the chat. On the role of the youth, for example?
Yeah, I will find one or more than one answers from our participants about that, Mr. Ambassador, but I noticed one interesting question, which we have been discussing about how we as individuals could contribute, and also the responsibility of the government. What about private institutions? So this one is Reno, and they work for a bank in Indonesia, and their question is how financial institutions could play a role in enhance the speed of transition towards a more sustainable transport. What do you think, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, for that particular question, I think the main answer from the European Union is what we call global gateway. As the name says, a global gateway is a recognition of the need to connect the world and the different parts of the world, not only for transportation, but for many other types of networks. It could be energy, it could be digital, it could be research and education, but we have to recognize that we live in a more connected world than we used to know years or, well, before, let's say. So moving forward, I think we need to focus on this issue of connectivity, and the offer on connectivity from the European Union is really a global gateway. And also we have to recognize that for connectivity, and that's the purpose of global gateway, what we need is investment in infrastructure. It is very challenging to invest in infrastructure because those are very large investments. The amounts involved are depending on the currency, but it's always in billions. It is very, very expensive to invest in infrastructure development. So I think this is the reason why there is a very strong focus from the European Union to facilitate investment in infrastructure. As far as ASEAN is concerned, we have 4 flagship projects for our Global Gateway initiative. One of them is about transportation. It's the construction of the National Road number 2 in Laos, which is a landlocked country. So land transport is key to Laos. Then we have the contribution to sustainable energy in Vietnam with wind and solar farms, which in turn can encourage and promote the development of more sustainable forms of electric transportation, because we have to recognize that even if you have an electric car or if you have an electric bike, if power and electricity is produced based on fossil fuel, that doesn't so much good to the planet. And then we also have our contribution to the Just Energy Transition Partnership here in Indonesia. So I think this is about what the EU can do for ASEAN. But I think the bottom line is that it's not for the EU to tell ASEAN what to do. It's for the government of ASEAN to decide for themselves, taking into account the best interests of their people. And again, the youth has a voice there. So it's for you to contribute, to shape public choices when it comes to transportation. You have to express your interest for more sustainable forms of transportation, but you also have to show your commitment to use these forms of transportations when they become available. So I don't know, how many of you would rather take a train over a car, even though to take the train, yeah, you might have to walk and then catch maybe a little bit of a motorbike ride to the train station, and then you would have to carry your bag. So it's not as easy as putting everything in the trunk of a car.
Yes, I also would love to hear that from participants here. Mr. Fakri, please.
Yeah, I would like to add a little bit what Mr. Ambassador said, especially on finance. Yes, ideally we want to go to this green or all those kind of things, the ideal. But we all know financing this kind of public services is not the most sexiest one for the private. So financing in this is challenging. So that is why we really need to find the right finance instrument to support this. In this case, for example, blended finance should be working well, and it proved effectively to support that. Blended finance means a private finance, public finance will pave the way or reduce the risk of the business, so then private finance can come in. So that is one of the methods to finance this kind of thing. For ASEAN, as Smart Green ASEAN Cities is about that. So EU and ASEAN agreed to design a model where the local government or the city is able to improve their financing capacity to finance this kind of program. And then our project is about that. It's not this project to build the road, but the project is how to have the city to be able to improve widening the road or put the bicycle track or all this kind of thing. And the other thing I'd like to mention, Mr. Ambassador, also EU through EFD Plus have allocated huge amount for city credit guarantees. So city credit guarantees is a form of grant that can guarantee a risk businesses into this area. So UNCDF, one of the institutions, has been selected to implement the EU-AFD Plus, just to set up the model how these supporting finance can de-risk the businesses and then bring the private finance in. I think this more and more discussion on this will come up, and more financing mechanism will come up. But very important to start seeing how public finance able to play the role to allow private finance to come in when we look at on the finance. And there was just one point on the youth. I think, as Mr. Ambassador mentioned, youth is easy to change compared to us who are already old. And also, youth can set the trend. It's not the old people who set the trend. Youth can set the trend. If all youths go by whatever to the trends, and others will follow. Sorry for taking a long time.
It's totally fine, Mr. Fakri. Thank you so much. That adds so much knowledge and insights, and it makes our conversation and discussion even richer. Thank you so much. So now, well, we have been discussing about transportation sector, which for me sometimes it often seems like too big of a sector for us youth to be involved in. But thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador, and also all of our panelists for sharing your point of view and insights. And now I also hope all of our participants here could now do more, and knowing our capacity, what we can do to our environment from today. And then now I'm going to Yen. Well, Yen, since you are representing ASEAN youth in the Youth Sounding Board, well, first of all, congratulations. But would you please share what is the EU Youth Sounding Board?
Thanks. So the Youth Sounding Board for International Partnership is a space to promote meaningful participation of young people in the European Union's external action, so facilitating active engagement and exchanges between young people, the Commissioner, as well as DG IMPA on international action and international partnerships. So as a member of the 25 FISB Youth Sounding Board members, our role is essentially to advise the Commissioner for International Partnerships as well as the DG IMPA on youth participation and empowerment in EU international partnerships, bringing youth perspectives to the discussions and dialogues of various topics, including education, peace and security, culture, and more. As well as to support the implementation of the Youth Action Plan in EU external action.
Sorry, that sounds very interesting, Yen. I wonder how to be one of the member of the EU-ASEAN Youth Sounding Board from your experience. And after this, I may need to ask Mr. Ambassador whether there will be an open opportunity for us to apply. Yen first.
Well, I have experience joining the EU Youth Sounding Board. It is an open application every 2 years. So my mandate starts from 2023 to 2025. So there will be an upcoming in the near future. Yeah.
So back to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Well, the Youth Sounding Board does not only exist in Brussels for the Commissioner for International Partnership. It was her initiative, and we have to give her credit for that. But this is also an initiative that we try to replicate everywhere in the world. So we have 145 ambassadors of the European Union around the world, and each of us try to find the best ways to interact with the youth. So now that we have this formula of the Youth Sounding Board, I think we don't need to scratch our head and look for an answer. The best way for us is also to establish the equivalent of a Youth Sounding Board to advise on the geographical perimeter we're in charge of. So as far as I'm concerned, as the ambassador of the European Union to ASEAN, we would seek for the establishment of an EU-ASEAN Youth Sounding Board, and that's going to be an open application process. So just follow us on our social media accounts, and so also check our website from time to time. We will let you know about the details to apply.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. So I would love to invite everyone to please make sure to follow our social media, EU in ASEAN social media channels, because as Mr. Ambassador himself told you just now, we are going to share the details of the opportunity in our social media. Okay, so now, before I have asked Ian about how youth could contribute to the environment. And also, Hans, you probably want to add your point of view?
Yeah, so I would like to emphasize about advocacy and awareness. So as youth, I think we can start to raise the awareness.
Sorry, Hans, to interrupt you. Would you please get closer to your microphone?
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I think one thing I want to emphasize is about awareness and advocacy. So we need to raise the awareness of people around us, and we can start by sharing with people around us, and also the community, the local community, and also the policymakers. I think everyone here might have friends that always be skeptical about sustainable transportation, about EV, that it's 100% carbon neutral, it's not 100% free of carbon footprint. Well, it is true that it is not 100% carbon footprint free, but as mentioned by the Mr. Ambassador, that the sources of energy for our electrical grid is not 100% renewable energy yet. But we have to start from now on, because we cannot wait until we have 100% renewable energy grid, and then we start the transition to vehicle or sustainable transportation. We need to start now, so we can achieve at the end of. I think that's.
Yes, of course, Hans. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Ambassador. Do you want to add some more points?
Thank you, Selfie. No, I think we're good. No, we have something like 15 minutes left, so maybe it's time to play a game now. No.
Yes. Yes, we have prepared a very interesting game, but if you don't mind, there is one interesting question, Mr. Ambassador, and also all of the panelists, that I think I want to bring up. But before that, I also want to show a video, this one from our friend Johanna Caroline. She's on a wheelchair, and she also loves to use MRT in Jakarta. So everyone, let's take a look at this video.
Halo, nama saya Johanna Caroline, berasal dari Jakarta. Setiap titik poin kayak untuk akses kursi roda, apalagi saya kan pengguna kursi roda, itu lebih diperhatikan aja sih. Jadi saya bisa, misalkan saya mau turun di daerah Mangga 2, ternyata pas lagi saya udah nyampe di halte, oh itu tangga-tangga saya nggak bisa turun, jadi saya harus maju lagi beberapa halte baru bisa turun di dekat rumah saya. Jadi kalau untuk MRT, saya bebas mau turun di mana aja, itu akses dan ada liftnya. Itu sih yang penting.
So yes, it's very important to also make public transportation to be accessible to everyone. So before we play a quiz, Kahoot quiz, I would love to ask each panelist, and also including Mr. Ambassador, to give probably a closing statement, starting from Yen and Hans. Yen first.
I'd say in terms of sustainable transport, it's a collective effort. In terms of youth, engagement. You can do it from a local level as well as a policy level. However, it's also important to, as the video shows, right, to ensure that all perspective and all voices are taken into account when developing policies and planning sustainable transport systems, to ensure that that our systems are inclusive as well as be essentially accessible to all parts of society. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yan. Hans.
For me, I think we can, as youth, we can start from small steps. We're not talking about advanced technology. We're not talking about great policy in the level of EU or ASEAN. We can start from small things, like we can start from choosing to walk instead of riding bicycle, riding a motorcycle, and we can start to encourage our friends, our family, and our local community, and give them a different perspective about sustainable transportation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hans. Now I'm sending the floor to Mina.
Thank you. Thanks, Selfing. Well, I would say for everyone to be an example for others, be a leader, and don't expect somebody else to do things first. So change your behavior, be attentive, be considerate towards your fellow road travelers.
Thank you so much, Mina. Rolf?
Yes, thanks a lot. So for me, first of all, personally, it was a great moment also to leave my aviation bubble, and because I have sometimes the feeling that I work in a bit in my own environment. So it was really, really interesting to see what all the others are doing here, and thank you so much for that in the first place. And maybe kind of an apology that I cannot show you the newest, fanciest aircraft that will save the world for as of tomorrow, because I repeat myself in a way, because unlike the phone manufacturers, you cannot throw a new airplane every 6 months on the market. It simply takes a bit of time, but just to want to reconvince everybody that a lot is in the pipeline, a lot we can already do today to reduce the CO2 footprint, and you're going to see many changes in the future, in particular on the sustainable aviation fuel. It will not change the design of the aircraft, but it's already something available right now. You can fuel the planes already. You can fly 100% sustainable aviation fuels. The problem is, again, repeating myself, about co-responsibilities. It is not the aviation industry to produce fuel, right? So it has to be there. It has to be available, affordable. But again, repeating myself, a lot is in the pipeline, and you're going to see many changes in the upcoming future. So thanks a lot for having me.
Our pleasure, Rolf. Thank you so much. Mr. Fakri, please.
Well, thank you very much. Just like Rolf, also thank you very much for having me. It's a very interesting discussion. I think this is something we can discuss for long time. But for me, yes, of course, they involve everyone in this: government, private sectors, communities. Everybody have the things to do. But I think the main thing, as mentioned before, what we need is to change the habit. And that is where youth, we have huge power for that, in changing the habit and set up the trend toward the sustainable transportation. So it's rely in youth hands in that case. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fakri. And now, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Selfine, and thank you to all of our panelists and participants. I think we had a great insight from our panelists and a fantastic interaction with our participants. What I would like you to take away from this webinar on sustainable transportation is that sustainable transportation is like life, and life is about choices. It's about the choices you give. If, like me, you are working for a government, it's our responsibility to put people in a situation where they can have choices. But it's also about the choices you make as a citizen, as an individual, as a youth, and don't necessarily go for the easy short-term choice. So that's the lesson I would like you to learn today. with all the information that now you're equipped with, don't be shy, be bold, and sometimes dare to make the hard choice. Shall we play now?
Sure thing, Mr. Ambassador. It seems that you're so excited to do the Kahoot quiz, interesting quiz. So I'm inviting everyone to join the quiz since we have prepared this amazing EU merchandise. So now we are going to start the Kahoot quiz. I'm also inviting the ambassador and all our panelists to put questions later. And now you can start those, or you can also go to the website www.kahoot.it and participation 1661764. Well, I hope we can have everyone to join the Kahoot quiz. We have 174 participants at the moment. So, 150 minimum. Yes, the organizing committee also has dropped the link on the chat box, so you can use the link we have provided on the chat box. We'll wait for you to join us. Okay, 80 and keep counting. One more minute and we're going to start the quiz. "90 participants so far. Very nice. Okay, I think they're all set to start.
I cannot participate, Selfine, but everyone else can, huh?
Yes. So, Mr. Ambassador, do you also want to join the quiz?
No, I think I'd leave the goodies for everyone else.
You can participate to read the question, Mr. Ambassador. Probably the first question.
Let's go.
So, everyone, be ready. Belt behavior change crucial for safety in ASEAN. What's the most effective channel for awareness training? Oh, you need less than 10 seconds to answer the question. Good job, everyone. And 3, 2, 1. Social media. Thanks to Mina, shared about this point just now. Well, 76 has answered correctly. Now we're going to check the scoreboard, and congratulations, Funny Pat, for the highest score at the moment. The second question: which area of road safety is in the most need of behavior change immediately? Please refrain yourself to put the answers on the chat box. It's over speeding. So 43 has answered correctly. Now let's see. Rational sloth. Congratulations, you're climbing up the scoreboard. Mina, do you want to read the question?
Okay, what is the most effective way to encourage behavior change for safer roads?
Three, 2, 1. Enforcement of rules. Now checking out the scoreboard. Bot Pat, wow, amazing. So Rational Sloth, you're going down the ladder, but no worries. Mr. Ambassador, would you please read this question?
Yes, I can. How many EU member states are there?
Less than 5 seconds, we already have more than 50 answers. Great job, everyone.
Everybody knows what EU stands for, right?
Okay, 33 answers, 33 participants answer correctly. Amazing, wow. Very dynamic scoreboard. What is the name of the group of young people advising the EU on EU external action international partnerships? Wow. I can see, is that your picture yet?
It's the previous cohort. We'll get a new picture.
I see. You guys looking great. It's youth sounding board. And now let's take a look at the scoreboard. Well, congratulations. Okay, so Mr. Ambassador, would you please read this question?
According to the European Green Deal, the EU is committed to cutting down its emission by at least 55% in 2030. True or false?
Let's see. It's true. And now let's take a look at the scoreboard.
Who are the 20 who said it's false?
So, Ralph, would you please read this question?
Yes, with pleasure. What can you already do to fly smarter?
Yes, compare CO2 emissions and take those. Isn't that right, Rolf?
Looking good.
Great. And now, electric vehicle has zero carbon footprint. That's true or false? It's false. Wow. It's almost 50-50 answers. And now the ninth question. How many golden stars? Mr. Ambassador, before being the ambassador, did you notice the golden stars? Like, did you count it first? Because some of the
Well, the answer is on the screen,
yeah.
So I don't expect anyone to make any mistake, huh?
Yes, yes.
Aye, aye, aye.
Amazing. And now last question. Mr. Fakri, would you please read this question?
Of course, yes. World Sustainable Transport Day World Sustainable Transport Day remind us of our sustainable future goals and promote sustainable transport cooperation. True or false?
It's true. And now let's take a look at the podium. Very short, congratulations. Alvin Cross.
Congratulations.
Wow. Round of applause for you, everyone. And also I'm inviting everyone to also sending virtual applause to all of our panelists, speakers here, and also to Mr. Ambassador, the host of today's talk show. Thank you very much for participating in today's talk show, everyone. It's been an amazing discussion during this 1.5 hours. So, Mr. Ambassador, do you want to share to our participants here before we finish the talk show?
I lost you at some point in time, Selfine.
Oh, so sorry, Mr. Ambassador.
Oh, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So sorry, I'm experiencing some technical issues just now. So before we finish the talk show, Mr. Ambassador, do you want to add more points? What do you want to share? What do you want to convey to all of our participants here?
No, just all of you make the right choice and get back home on the MRT or the bus or any clean power, safe and efficient mode of sustainable transportation, and talk about it around you. Maybe next time we can be even more on this call with even more participants. But thank you, everyone, panelists, moderator, and participants.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. And now, before we finish the talk show, the top winners, the top 10 winners of the quiz we had just now will receive special hampers from the EU delegation to ASEAN. Yay! Congratulations! And now it's time for me to thank each of our panelists once again. Thank you so much, Mr. Fakri Karim. Thank you so much, Ralph Kosman, Mina Saneri, Hans Ryan, and also Lok Pak Yen. Thank you so much. And also, Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for being very great host.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Looking forward to see you all again. Take good care, everyone.
Thank you. Follow us on our social media accounts.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.